Shadowbox is done when you have a painting that's not framed. There's nothing that's protecting this face right now. So we need to build a shadow box so that we can put plastic over the face without the plastic touching the face of the painting. First thing we'll need to do is get the dims of the piece. How tall it is, how long it is, how wide it is. So first thing, we'll get the height. It's exactly 15. I'm just gonna give it a hair more because we're gonna be folding the cardboard up and we had to compensate for the fact that the cardboard has a width as well. And this is exactly 24, so I'm gonna give it 24 1/8. The shadow box has to be tight. It's supposed to be able to keep the piece in place when it's standing up. We have to determine how tall the sides are gonna be. We're gonna call them the walls. This is what it's gonna look like. This is a miniature version of it. These are the walls. These are gonna come up, and I'm also gonna put a flap that's gonna come over like this. This painting is about 1 inch thick. So you want at least a couple inches of a wall so that when you pull the plastic, it's definitely gonna clear the face of the piece. To help myself visualize it, I actually draw it. I draw the footprint, that's this. You always want that flap, that reinforced wall, to be on the edge that the piece is riding on, so that the flap will come up this way and down this way instead of on the sides. So I have the walls right now, but I also have to add that extra cardboard that's gonna make the flap. Whatever this is, I'll do the same here. What we're doing right now is just determining how big of a piece of cardboard we need to cut to make this. So then what we need to do is we need to mark where our 4 walls are. These are gonna be, that's 4 and that's 4. And this is the one that'll flip over, and this is the wall. So we'll score all these lines, just like these are all scored. Score on the outside of the line. You fold this, right? Fold it with care, because what can happen, it'll want to fold on the corrugation. So take your time and just sort of put pressure on it all along that edge until it wants to bend. And you do the same. Fold this up. So now you have your sides, right? And the flap. What we need to do is we cut this inner line here. Okay, like that, see? So you're gonna have to free this flap up. This is gonna have to come up, so we have to cut both of those so that this can come up. I'm gonna do that on this side so that this can come up, right? That's gonna be the side walls. And then we need to cut here so that we can fold these flaps this way. So now get our knife. Okay, that's what you're gonna want. And mirror image, the same thing, right? Here, don't cut that line. Okay, so this will come up like this, right? And this will come like this. Okay, so what we want to do is bring this up. The flap's like that, right? Everything is nice and clean. But this will protect the bottom, this extra piece of cardboard here, and it protects the corners more. So cut a piece of tape, but you're going to want to secure this corner. Okay, so that's your first step, is to get that. Again, cut a piece of tape. You want it long enough so it'll wrap around to the underside. Pull this tight and bring it underneath. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. We're gonna go around later and then tape it more securely, but for now we're just holding it all in place so we can put it together. You don't want exposed edges, anything, any cut lines, marks, folds, you want to put a piece of tape over that. Around that way. There, like that. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on the bottom. Fold that under. Our shadow box is done, and when completed like this, still needs the poly on top, but the painting should be secure in there, all right? We put the piece on top of the poly, and we're gonna bring the plastic over this way. So I like to tape the poly on the edges of the pieces because that's how it's going to be opened. And again, we have this line, so I'm going to tape this here first, and then after I tape that, I'm going to bring this over and I'm going to cut it right along that same edge so I can tape it on this top edge of the piece. Just put a little piece of tape, half on the poly and half not on the poly. This part will stick to the shadow box. I'm just going to tape like that to start. And put 2 more little pieces of tape just to hold it in place, like this. Then I'm going to run 1 long piece of tape along the entire length of the bottom to secure that poly in place. That's in place. I can pull this plastic tight. By making these folds over here, this reinforced wall, you can pull this plastic as tight as you want and it won't cave in the walls. This way, with this reinforced corners and the flap, you can pull this thing super tight and it's not going to collapse the cardboard. And I'll take my knife and I'm going to cut it, you know, like right about here. You can cut on the cardboard. So now you have this, right? Fix the tape partially to the poly and leave enough so you can attach it also to the shadow box. And we got a lot of excess plastic. Cut it fairly tight to the piece. Okay, now we're going to want to pull this poly as tight as we can pull it. You can see how it's getting taut there. So that's pretty much it. Now we can go and make this poly tighter by just going on the corners. Put a piece here, pull it tight, go underneath and cut it. That's it in the shadow box.